Hello and welcome to the first ever real reviews for a video game. We are talking about Skull and Bones today. Skull and Bones. Released by Ubisoft. Released on February 16, 2024. IGN rating, 7. Metacritic score, 64. PC Gamer rating, 68. System played on PS5. Let's get this out of the way. This is a game based off of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, one of the best Assassin's Creed games. This game is not that game. I'm going to review it as its own game because it should be talked about on its own merits and flaws. I for one think that the reviewers got the score right, because they reviewed it as its own game. Is this game perfect? No, not at all. But we should get some things out of the way right off the top. It launched in better condition than something like Cyberpunk 2077. At the time of writing, only one feature in the game that I am aware of doesn't work, and that is the in-game chat. I have noticed 3 glitches or bugs, the first being the Deathmark expired glitch, frustrating, and I had to exit the game once to get out of a vendor due to it. Then random small areas of the terrain not loading, so it looks purple and green until it loads in. And finally, my spear is the wrong level when using. I don't know if it impacted the usage at all. Okay, so the character creator, the place where it all starts. It is super minimal, just not many options when you really break it down. Character models for the player look fine-ish, nothing crazy, but they get the job done. NPCs, which should arguably look better, don't look great, which is so weird because they have consistent poses and animations. There is no reason for them to look weird. How does the world look? Aside from the one loading issue I mentioned before that only affects a panel of a whole area, the world looks decent. I haven't noticed any issues with image readability, so even through a spyglass I can tell what things are and often can even tell the faction of cities and ships. The water looks its best during storms in my opinion. The cities, beaches, and other areas where you can land look pretty decent, but they are ultimately pretty small. Weather effects look pretty good unless you are super close to the lightning. It looks a bit off. The storms from a distance look similar enough to what I have seen in real life. The moon looks pretty good overall. It has some alternate colors and phases as well. The ships look honestly pretty good. The weapons all have designs that you can see when using them or looking at your ship. Fire weapons have fire lit on them. Fancy weapons have symbols and different colors on them. Every aspect of the ship can be customized with cosmetics, and the armor you equip impacts how it looks as well, which is one of the few things that you have to worry about that actually has a cosmetic change. The different ships look different enough. You can tell the difference from far away. The game does also include ratings when you see a ship, a simple number from one of the highest I have seen, which is currently 11. It does color things red that are potentially beyond you. They include icons to show if ships are watching you, and you can turn on additional ones that make you aware if they are hostile. The builds are pretty basic if you have played any MMO or online game. You have DPS, tank, and support. Support have repair weapons that heal allies as you shoot them or heal ships around them. Tanks have more effective brace abilities, and DPS gets broken down into its own 3 categories. Those are flame ships, explosive ships, and ramming ships. Those names are pretty self-explanatory. I don't know if it is because we are so early in the release, but the game really shows a strong favoritism for DPS. There is 1 support, 2 tanks, and 6 DPS ships. I don't think I have actually seen a tank or support ship yet, and that might be due to the game not having in-game chat yet, so no looking for group features is supported yet. But also with every ship having the ability to heal, and furniture and items that help you heal or brace, I don't see the point in playing anything other than a DPS. Currently, I have one of the high-level ships that focuses on explosions, and that effect is increased with fire, so I obviously have fire and explosive weapons. Even high-level ships, if I land a good hit, I can deal about 1/3 of their health and damage, and I am at ship rank 7 when some of these ships are at 9s and 10s. The cosmetics are a weird issue, and the most likely solution isn't one I really want. There aren't many cosmetics, and even less that can be gotten with the main in-game currency. Most pirates you see will quickly look very similar to the other pirates you see, and their ships will look more and more similar. There are 2 main in-game currencies and at least 2 sub-currencies that you get for fighting specific things, and then the paid currency. A lot of people have shit on the paid currency, and I don't get it. I went back to double-check, and you can't buy the normal in-game currencies or gameplay-affecting items. Currently, it is 100% cosmetic items. If that changes, then yes, hate them. I will point out that none of the premium cosmetics are interesting in my opinion. Ship combat isn't terrible. It is overall pretty decent. Ships have weak points. You can also target their mast and sails to slow them down. This is where the game starts to have that arcade-like feel. If you have a fast enough ship, you could rotate your ship in a way to fire all 3 or 4 weapons on your sides in pretty rapid succession. I often pivot between my front bombard cannons and my sidelong cannons. The game having a line to show when you will switch weapons is pretty helpful for that. Honestly, the hardest combat I have had is against a crocodile. The high-level ships can do a lot of damage, but you can predict their shots, especially if you're looking at them as you fight. The elite ships, in my opinion, are kinda BS. At ship level 7, I fought a level 4 elite captain, and while it was easy, they're just pointless damage sponges. One of the biggest issues for combat is one of the biggest issues for the game as a whole, as far as I have seen. It is super unresponsive when trying to change speeds. Sometimes I spend upwards of 10 seconds just trying to get the ship to go when I am docked in a harbor. I haven't engaged in any PvP content yet, so I can't really speak to that, but from what I have noticed, it is only available for events. Plundering is the only significant mechanic other than ship combat, and it is just normal ship combat, but in waves, and you get items based on how far you get. Sometimes you have to deal with towers as well, but aside from them having slightly higher damage than ships of the same level, they are pretty easy because they are stationary. I haven't used every weapon in the game, but I have used most, and none are particularly complex to use. From being the target, torpedoes seem easy to dodge but are high damage, so maybe they could have a place in PvP. NPCs are really bad at dodging, so I bet they are fantastic against them. There are some things I really don't like. The mid to late game item grind to build weapons and ships is not particularly fun or engaging. Big storms only happen in the open seas. The straight line between Africa and India always has a large storm, at least when I have played. The map just ends, no storm to keep you from the edge, no message saying you weren't a pirate in other areas of the world, just a white line in the water, a hazy wall, and if you cross it you have 60 seconds to go back or your crew will mutiny. The northwest corner of the map is also currently unexplorable, which would be the Arabian Peninsula. The current selection of ships doesn't support the status effect mechanic very well. If you switch ships, you don't have an option to keep the cargo on the old ship, so when you switch back, you have to move all of the items back. It is especially bad if you are using the fishing boat because it can't hold anything really. There are some things I really do like. When tracking a blueprint, it marks where to buy it, and then once you have it, where to find all of the materials. Combat is fun, and even though you might get overwhelmed by the number of ships if you're in a bad area, you are almost never completely doomed. I haven't really talked about the story because it is super generic. You were stranded after a shipwreck. You get to the main island. The boss hires you. You rise up the ranks. You join a shady organization. People have you kill their rivals and traitors. Overall, if you enjoy arcade-like games where you're in a ship that you can customize, you aren't expecting a game to be just like Black Flag, then I would recommend this game. I have followed this game since it was announced. I too wanted a Black Flag-style pirate game, and this isn't it. It is a game that was stuck in development hell for years. The finished product isn't perfect, but it is fun. Going to rate it a 6.5 out of 10. Like always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'll have an AI review out tomorrow and Avatar: The Last Airbender next week. If you listened to this review and thought I was too nice, it is because I believe that you need to review media independently from what it is supposed to be inspired by or based on. Netflix's Avatar will get much the same treatment. Until next time.